Let's dive into Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This is the book that really flipped the script on personal finance for millions of people. And it all starts by looking at the world through the eyes of two very different father figures.
And this right here captures the entire heart of the book. On one side, you've got the author's actual father, his poor dad. He was super educated, had a great job, but was always struggling with money. His advice was the traditional path, get a safe, secure job. But on the other side was his best friend's dad, his rich dad. He was an entrepreneur, street smart, and his advice was totally different. Think like an owner, not like an employee.
So, this massive difference in mindset leads us to Rich Dad's first and probably his most famous lesson. It's all about escaping what he calls the rat race. See, he argues that the rich are playing a completely different financial game. While most of us, the poor and the middle class, are taught to work for our money, the rich have learned how to make their money work for them.
So, how does this trap really work? Well, Kiyosaki says it's all driven by two of our most powerful emotions. First, there's fear. The fear of not being able to pay your bills, that's what gets you to take a job in the first place. But then, once that paycheck starts coming in, greed, or let's just call it desire, kicks in. You start wanting all the nice things money can buy. And that combination of fear and desire, well, it creates a powerful cycle that's really hard to break. And this is the cycle he famously calls the rat race. You get up, you go to work, you pay your bills. Then you get a raise. And what happens? You spend more. That pay raise doesn't buy you freedom, it just buys you a bigger car or a nicer house, which means bigger bills and more debt. You end up completely chained to that next paycheck, just chasing a carrot on a stick forever. Okay, so here's the really crucial part. The way out isn't just earning more money. A lot of the time, that just makes the hamster wheel spin even faster. The real key, according to Rich Dad, is to fundamentally understand how money actually works. You have to become financially literate.
And getting out of that rat race requires that financial literacy, which brings us to the absolute core lesson of the entire book. It really all comes down to understanding one incredibly simple but really critical distinction.
Rich Dad was convinced that if you could just grasp this one single rule, everything else in your financial life would just click into place. It's the foundation for everything. So what is it?
It's this simple. Seriously, forget all the complicated accounting jargon. An asset is just anything that generates income for you. It puts money in your pocket. We're talking about things like rental properties that send you a check every month, or stocks that pay dividends, or maybe even royalties from a book.
And on the flip side, you've got liabilities. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. It costs you money. This is your car loan, your credit card debt, student loans, basically anything that forces you to send your money out the door on a regular basis. And this one simple distinction creates three totally different financial realities. The poor are pretty much just focused on managing expenses to survive. The middle class, well, they use their salary to buy liabilities that they think are assets, like that new car or an expensive house. But the rich, they're playing a different game. They use their income to acquire more and more income-generating assets.
Okay, so if you really take that logic to heart, assets feed you, liabilities eat your money. It forces you to reevaluate what most of us consider our single biggest investment. And there it is. This is the big one. Rich Dad's argument is that the house you live in is a liability, not an asset. Now why? Well, think about it. Every single month, it takes money out of your pocket. You've got the mortgage, the property taxes, the insurance, the repairs. It doesn't put a dime of income in your pocket. It's just a massive expense. And here's what that trap looks like in real life. For most people, that salary comes in the front door and immediately flows right back out the back door. It goes to the government for taxes, to the bank for the mortgage, and to pay off all the other debts. And you see that third bar for asset income? For so many people, it's at zero. There's just nothing left to build the one thing that could actually generate freedom.
So what's the answer? What do you do about this? Well, the final lesson ties this all together with a really clear strategy. The path to real financial security, Rich Dad says, is to mind your own business.
And this is a really, really important distinction. Your profession is your job. It's what you do from 9 to 5 to earn a paycheck and, pay the bills. But your business in this world is your asset column. Your job is just the thing that funds the creation of your real business.
So here's the game plan, and it's actually pretty straightforward. You keep your day job, that's what pays the bills. But instead of using any extra money to buy more liabilities, you systematically use it to buy true assets. Your entire focus becomes building up that asset column piece by piece until it's generating enough income all on its own to cover your expenses. And only then, Rich Dad says, should you use the cash flow from your assets to pay for all the fun stuff, the luxuries.
So when you start thinking this way, your entire definition of what it even means to be wealthy it completely changes. It's not about having a high-paying job. It's not even about your net worth being full of expensive stuff. It's about something way more tangible and way more powerful. Kiyosaki actually borrows this definition from the brilliant thinker R. Buckminster Fuller. Wealth isn't a dollar amount, it's a measure of time. It's simply the cash flow from your assets compared to your monthly expenses. In other words, how long could your money sustain you if your paycheck just stopped tomorrow? And that, right there, is the ultimate question the book leaves you with. The goal isn't just about getting rich. It's about building a system, a machine, where your assets generate enough income to cover your entire lifestyle, freeing you from ever needing a job again. It's about building something that works for you so you can finally buy back the most valuable asset you will ever have, your time.